Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into something really fascinating. We're going to talk about those weird habits that some of us have. The things we might even feel a little self conscious about. Well, what if they're not weird at all? What if they're actually signs of a highly intelligent mind at work? Let's get into it. So, let me ask you a few things. Do you ever find yourself talking through a problem out loud? Or do you sometimes just crave a long walk, completely by yourself? And how do you feel about small talk? Does it just completely drain you? If you're nodding along right now, yeah, you're in exactly the right place. Because what if these behaviors aren't just random little quirks? Turns out, psychology suggests they can be powerful clues, little windows into a much more complex way your brain is processing the world around you. So in this explainer, we're going to reframe these common quirks. We're going to look at them through a whole new lens. You'll see how these behaviors that might look a little odd on the outside, well, they actually serve a very specific and pretty important purpose for a high IQ mind. All right, let's start with the inner world, the stuff that happens inside your head. We're talking about the habits related to how intelligent minds organize thoughts and process information, especially when no one else is looking. First up on the list, talking to yourself. Yeah, a lot of us think it's kind of strange, right? But for a highly intelligent person, this isn't just some random chatter. It's actually a powerful tool for organizing really complex thoughts out loud. There's actually a term for this. Psychology calls it verbal reasoning. See, by turning abstract thoughts into structured words, the brain can actually tackle problems faster, stay focused, and make smarter decisions. It's pretty much a cognitive superpower hiding in plain sight. Next, let's talk about the classic habit of overthinking. We usually link it with anxiety, but for a high IQ mind, it's often less about worry and way more about a thorough, logical analysis. They aren't just spinning their wheels, they are meticulously examining every single angle of a situation. This all comes down to something called cognitive complexity. It means their brains are just naturally wired to process all the little details, the potential consequences, and the hidden possibilities that most people might miss. So what looks like anxious indecisiveness from the outside is actually the mind running a super detailed analysis to find the absolute best path forward. And what about those random, super intense obsessions? 1 month it's all about ancient Roman history. The next, it's the physics of black holes. This isn't a lack of focus at all. It's the sign of a really powerful curiosity system that just needs to be fed. And this behavior follows a really clear pattern. It starts with a huge spark of curiosity. That triggers a period of deep, focused learning. And once the basics are mastered, the brain gets this nice little dopamine reward. Then, satisfied, it's ready to jump to the next fascinating topic. It's basically an incredibly efficient learning engine. Okay, so that's the inner world. But how does all this deep thinking actually show up on the outside? Let's look at a person's visible behaviors and how they interact with people. Have you ever seen someone who always seems to be walking alone and maybe thought they're a bit antisocial? Well, the psychological take is really different. They're not avoiding people. They are actively trying to enter a specific mental state that's required for deep thinking. The science on this is just so cool. The simple act of walking alone with no distractions literally activates the brain's creative and problem-solving networks. It's during this quiet time that ideas can marinate and connect in totally new ways. So it's not about isolation, it's about creating the mental space for a breakthrough. Oh, this one might be my favorite, the messy desk. We often think a messy space means a chaotic mind, right? But for many highly intelligent people, it's the exact opposite. It's a sign that their precious mental energy is being focused only on what truly, truly matters. This is what's called selective organization. So while their desk might be a total disaster zone, their digital files or the mental framework for their big project are probably perfectly structured. They're not wasting energy organizing papers. They're busy organizing groundbreaking ideas. It's all about efficiency. And finally, how about avoiding small talk? It gets mistaken for being shy or antisocial all the time, but the real reason isn't about avoiding people at all. It's about a fundamental need for mental depth. You see, for a brain that absolutely thrives on complexity and new ideas, surface-level chatter can feel like running a marathon with no finish line. It's just completely draining. They might seem quiet in a group, but trust me, introduce a complex, interesting topic, and you'll see them light up and become incredibly engaged. Okay, we've looked at all these habits one by one, but now let's zoom out and connect the dots. Because these aren't just separate quirks. They all point to a much bigger underlying pattern of a complex mind. So, what are the common threads here? When you look at all these habits together, a few core traits really stand out. A strong drive for mental clarity, a huge value on efficiency, a deep and active curiosity, and a clear preference for depth and having that focused thinking space. So, what's the big picture? What's the real takeaway from reframing these habits? Well, it really brings the focus right back to you and how you see your own mind. And that leaves us with one final and I think really powerful question. The next time you catch yourself doing one of these so-called weird habits, instead of judging it, just ask yourself, how is my mind secretly working to my advantage right now? Because those quirks, they might just be your greatest cognitive strengths.